For decades, the United States and Iran have lived under a shadow of tension, shaped by revolution, sanctions, nuclear ambitions, and deep-rooted distrust. The world watched, waiting for the inevitable spark. In early 2025, diplomats gathered in Oman, Rome, and Muscat, hoping words and compromise could prevent disaster. Deadlines were missed, threats were exchanged, and fragile hope began to crumble quietly. Tensions escalated across the region. Cities braced, armies mobilized, satellites scanned skies, and global leaders feared the worst. Diplomacy was fading, replaced by the looming threat of open conflict that no one wanted. On June 13, 2025, Israel struck without warning. Nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan were hit. Smoke and fire rose as diplomacy collapsed, signaling that the world had entered a dangerous new chapter. Days later, the United States joined with Operation Midnight Hammer. B-2 bombers flew through the night sky, delivering destruction with precision, marking a decisive escalation that left no room for negotiation or retreat. A brief ceasefire called the 12-Day War flickered across headlines. Cities waited in tense silence, missiles loomed in the distance, and nations held their breath, unsure if peace could survive the next moment. By February 28, 2026, full-scale conflict erupted. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in the opening strikes, sending shockwaves through Iran, Israel, the United States, and every corner of the Middle East. Rockets and missiles rained down on Israel, U.S. forces, and Gulf states. Explosions lit up cities like deadly fireworks, turning familiar streets into scenes of chaos and destruction under relentless fire. Civilians fled their homes in panic, families clutched what they could carry, and children wept in fear. Empty streets told a story of displacement, loss, and the human cost of political decisions. Soldiers braced in bunkers and bases, hearts pounding as incoming missiles streaked across the sky. Each second felt like eternity, every decision weighing the fragile line between life and death. In the shadows of devastation, refugees crossed harsh terrain, carrying memories, food, and hope. Mountains and deserts became pathways to survival as families sought safety in an uncertain, war-torn world. Diplomats and leaders argued endlessly. Papers shuffled and slammed on tables. Agreements failed, promises vanished, and the world watched as negotiations crumbled under the weight of escalating aggression. B-2 bombers returned on missions, gliding silently over Iran. Satellites tracked their flight, nuclear sites marked with precision. Each strike reshaped the strategic balance and pushed tensions to their breaking point. Iran retaliated with missile strikes, hitting U.S. bases and Israel. Trails of fire streaked across the night sky, cities trembling and warning sirens blared as civilians and soldiers braced for impact. The Strait of Hormuz was closed, halting the world's energy arteries. Oil markets shook, global trade faltered, and nations far beyond the Middle East felt the consequences ripple across the globe. Families huddled in basements, schools, and empty buildings, faces etched with fear, eyes scanning for danger, hearts filled with uncertainty. The human cost of war was visible everywhere, silent yet devastating. Newsrooms flashed updates nonstop. Casualties, missile strikes, and oil prices became the headlines of a world suddenly unrecognizable. Everyone felt the war's impact, even those thousands of miles away. The supreme leader's death shocked the world. Iran's leadership shifted under the weight of retaliation, grief, and rage, igniting further escalation that no one could have anticipated fully. Missiles streaked over deserts, cities, and seas. Air defenses fired, explosions erupted, and panic gripped civilian populations as the scale of the conflict became painfully clear. Diplomatic channels closed. Negotiations had failed completely. Leaders resorted to unilateral decisions, military might dictating the next move, while civilians watched helplessly as events spiraled beyond control. Explosions tore through cities, shaking streets and buildings. Smoke rose like dark clouds of despair, and the human toll of each strike became impossible to ignore. Soldiers loaded weapons, readied vehicles, and prepared for combat. Every movement was tense, every command urgent, as the uncertainty of war weighed heavily on their shoulders. Civilians fled to border crossings, deserts, and mountains, carrying what they could. Families clutched children, bags, and memories, walking through chaos with nothing but hope to guide them. Radar screens in military bases flashed warnings constantly, missiles inbound, alerts blaring, soldiers gripping controls.
Each second measured the difference between destruction and survival. Digital misinformation spread like wildfire. Social media buzzed with fake videos, propaganda, and conflicting reports, blurring the line between reality and fiction for millions around the world. Breaking news tickers ran continuously. Headlines told of destruction, oil price spikes, and global panic, while viewers struggled to make sense of the rapidly unfolding events. Military planners tracked targets, coordinated strikes, and recalculated strategies. Each move was critical, every decision a gamble with regional stability and human lives at stake.